Moses did a great job.
He was huge.
Moses Moody really stood out tonight. I thought he did a great job of defending him without fouling.
Those are the little things that a guy like Moses can do to help change a game.
It was a bad decision, I mean, taking Moses out was a terrible move.
He is the Warriors' biggest secret. So much so that not even the organization seems to be able to figure out what exactly he means to the team. Figuring this out, however, would help the Warriors understand why the entire season might bank on this one player making the jump to becoming the team's biggest X factor.
Jerome attacking a Conwoo, and Moody saves the day!
Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is Swish Culture. This upcoming season is going to be big for a lot of reasons. One of the biggest reasons is the potential for the Warriors to get a significant boost from their young players. While there is some level of pressure on Jonathan Kuminga, Trayce Jackson-Davis, and Brandon Podziemski, the young player with the most pressure this year is Moses Moody. Most, including myself, were expecting Moody to take a leap last year, and at the beginning of the season, it seemed he was poised to play his way into a bigger role. Unfortunately, things couldn't have gone much worse for Moody as he started his third year on the bench, while Pods in his first year was able to get into the starting lineup, and to this point, already has more starts in his career than Moses. It's bad enough that a rookie has leapfrogged him in the lineup, and even worse that the lack of playing time directly impacts the amount the team would offer him in an extension. Mid-season, Moody's camp spoke out about the lack of playing time, but to no avail. By the end of the season, he didn't seem to make much headway in terms of securing his place with the team, and it didn't help that he was the only young player involved in trade talks. This seems like trouble for Moody, with what seems like it could indicate the end of his tenure with the Warriors. While things might look bad, it's not all doom and gloom. Watch the entire video to find out what went well for Moses Moody last season, what he could improve on, and what this offseason's big changes might mean for him and his future with Golden State. Could Moses Moody make the league this year and become the player the Warriors need to take them to the next level? Or will the new additions of Buddy Hield and Kyle Anderson slow his growth? More on that shortly, but before we dive in, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Swish Culture for the most analytical and entertaining NBA content on the planet. Now get ready. You're about to get Moses Moody has been one of the most interesting players for Golden State, and by that I mean he's obviously well liked in the fan base, yet in his 3 years with the team, can't seem to find a role. The third year is usually a big year for most players, as many players drafted in the lottery are expected to take a leap, and if not, they risk being hit with a bust label and begin their descent out of the NBA. For Moses, his third year started out with some level of optimism, but despite the team struggling with starters Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins putting up their worst career performances, Steve Kerr was very reluctant to give him a larger role. Up through the first 25 games, Moody came off the bench behind Klay Thompson for 19 minutes a night. This was up from the 13 minutes per game he was getting in the prior year. A part of the reason for the increase in minutes is that Moody became more aggressive in taking advantage of scoring opportunities. The increase, however, wasn't enough to get him consistent minutes as he found himself out of the rotation 32 games into the season without explanation. This was the first alarm bell. It didn't help that the Warriors rookie Brandon Podziemski was starting while Moody was sitting on the bench. This was the second alarm bell. What made that even worse was that Pods would start at the 2 next to Klay Thompson as Wiggins had started coming off the bench. That's alarm bell number 3. Something was very wrong. Now Moses Moody at 6'6" is listed as a shooting guard, the same as Pods who's listed at 6'4". Moody's wingspan at 7'1" provides Kerr with the flexibility to play him as a small forward, something Kerr seemingly preferred due to Moody only shooting 36% from deep, a statistic which hasn't gotten any better or worse since his rookie season. With Pods injected into the starting lineup, Klay Thompson being pushed to the 3, and Wiggins now coming off the bench for Klay, It seems rather unlikely that this situation would allow Moody to see any significant playing time in a year that would determine the amount he'd be eligible for in an extension with the team. The game versus Denver on January 4th, 2024 would be the last straw. After 3 straight DNPs, the following day his camp released a message that he was frustrated with inconsistent playing time and no role, aka no defined future with the Warriors. This came on the heels of frustrations voiced by Jonathan Kuminga, who seemed to have had it with his inconsistent playing time as well, having sat the entire fourth quarter of the same game where he was clearly the team's best player on the floor. Once the word got out, JK spent 36 minutes on the floor in the very next game against the Pistons. Seeing the immediate results encouraged Moody's camp to release their message. The following 2 games saw Moody play north of 20 minutes, scoring a season high of 21 points in back-to-back games. Steve Kerr was seemingly bullied by social media into giving significant minutes to both Moody and Kuminga. This actually pointed to a more deep-seated issue within the team, however, and it was that Steve Kerr's minutes distribution wasn't purely some metrics-driven dynamic. There was a personal aspect to it, something which he admitted to when he stated that putting in the young guys, aka taking Klay Thompson out of the starting lineup, would cause players, aka Klay Thompson, to revolt. While the benefits of Moody's camp speaking out were immediate, they were short-lived as Moody was out with injury for the next 3 weeks, sidelining him during what seemed to have been a pivotal moment in his career. His return saw a return to the old tactics as his role continued to fluctuate with 31 minutes in one game and another DNP 2 weeks later. It didn't seem to matter how well he played, as he would not be given a consistent opportunity despite Klay Thompson continuing to get worse as the season went. Now, in all honesty, Moses Moody wasn't bringing a whole lot more to the table than they were getting from Klay Thompson. While Klay's minutes, which were a prime factor in many of the Warriors' losses, were simply a result of Steve Kerr showing him respect despite the advanced metrics saying he should do otherwise, it wasn't clear that Moses Moody was ready to take over from Klay Thompson or provide the scoring that Klay gave the Warriors. What those 2 21-point back-to-back games showed, however, was that he did have the level of aggression required. He just needed to use it. While Moody had gotten more aggressive offensively, he was still restrained and seemingly didn't have the confidence to attack as much as he should in order to become Klay's replacement.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
That was only one of a few issues plaguing Moody, however. Another one is the fact that Moses Moody is not a great facilitator. Averaging 1 assist per 20 minutes of playing time for a player who doesn't have an aggressive offensive game shows either a severe lack of confidence or a player who doesn't know how to move the ball. Unfortunately for Moody, he might be in the latter camp, considering his assists have remained largely unchanged since his freshman year in college, possibly due to a lack of development. At the high school and college level, Moody was a better player than Jalen Williams of the Thunder, and right now it's unthinkable to even mention Moody's name in the same sentence. While he's a decent rebounder, he could improve defensively given the length I mentioned before. Overall, Moody's game doesn't have an elite ability that will allow him to get consistent minutes. He has a decent overall game with a few weaknesses, but no strength that stands out beyond his peers. Pods is a better facilitator, rebounder, and three-point shooter, which is why he was able to get ahead of Moody in the pecking order. Klay, despite having questionable shot selection, was a more aggressive scorer and still had elite three-point shooting on his resume. He also continued to make his shots at a higher clip than Moody, so even from that angle, it would still be questionable to have him replace Klay in the lineup. Wiggins' elite point-of-attack defense gave him the nod over Moody despite his poor shooting. So right now, Moses Moody looks like the ugly duckling that could possibly fall by the wayside. The offseason came and Klay was offloaded. At the same time, the Warriors acquired 2 veteran players who could feasibly see minutes in place of Moses Moody when the new season arrives. Is there any way that Moody finds himself in the Warriors' rotation in year 4? Well, the failed marketing trade should tell you everything you need to know. And here's why you're wrong. While it seems the Warriors were only willing to get rid of Moses Moody, pay attention to the fact that he was the sole player outside of filler that was being used in a potential trade for Lauri Markkanen, an all-star. The franchise clearly sees a lot of value in Moody, but knew that if they acquired another piece, there was no way they could find the room for him on the roster come next season. His skill set, one that makes him a more well-rounded player instead of a scorer like Kuminga or a facilitator like Pods, is what made him the best candidate for a trade. The Warriors, however, could see huge benefits as a result of the Jazz not agreeing to the trade. namely the potential of Moses Moody. Growth isn't linear, and while the possibility is that Moody could remain as the same player he was from his days in college, that is highly unlikely. What is more likely is that some aspect of Moody's game will change, and considering that this is his contract year, aka a make or break year for his career, he's going to have to put it all on the line. Remaining passive will have him remain in mediocrity. However, if he puts in the effort and assert himself on the court, we could see the same version of Moses Moody that we saw average 32 points in 4 games while playing in the G League his first year as a Warrior. Granted, he won't be taking 21 shots with Golden State. I'm not expecting Moody to become a better passer overnight. However, his scoring and rebounding could both see an increase this upcoming season as well as his defense. We saw glimpses of it as he tried to lock in defensively while the team struggled last year. But with a better squad, more experience, and more on the line, expect him to be more locked in. If Moody takes that leap this year and is able to shoot his threes with more confidence, he'll no doubt be the biggest difference maker on the Warriors with his versatility. Versatile wings are the most highly sought after players in this league, and in the next few months, the Jazz could be kicking themselves while the Warriors pat themselves on the back for dodging a bullet. At this point, the ball is in Moody's court. He can either let Buddy Hield, Wiggins, even Kyle Anderson take his place on the team as the 6th man, or he can step up his game, which is all mental at this point, and try to snag an MIP vote or two. Let me know what you guys think. Can he do it? Post your thoughts in the comments below. Before that, however, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss my next upload, where we find out what's going on with Andrew Wiggins, who recently canceled a trip to China due to family issues. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Swish.